We respectfully acknowledge the University of Arizona is on the land and territories of indigenous peoples. Today, Arizona is home to 22 federally recognized tribes, with Tucson being home to the O'odham and Yaqui. Committed to diversity and inclusion, the university strives to build sustainable relationships with sovereign Native nations and indigenous communities through education offerings, partnerships, and community service.
Welcome to this episode of the PA Path Podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Lohenry, and we are glad you could join us as we seek to better understand the PA profession. Hey, Steph, how you doing?
Hi, Kev. How's it going?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
How about you? Here we are.
I know.
Great. Here we are at the end of another great season of the podcast.
Yeah. I mean, I think what I love the most about it is I've learned from so many people that have been listening what they've learned through the lens of the folks that we're interviewing. And I too have learned things that I had no idea about.
Yeah, it's been great to hear the stories and reflections and the vision really of a lot of the guests that have come on to the show.
Yeah. So just to recap, we kind of started off this session. We did actually, let me stop and say one interesting note is our last reflection is still one of the most popular episodes we have, which I have no idea why, but that was right around the holidays. So maybe it was just a good time for people to listen. But we started off the new season with Ruth Ballwig, who keeps popping up in all of our podcasts.
Yep. Yeah. Maybe we should rename the podcast 7 Degrees to Ruth Ballwig.
Yeah, that'd be great. We started with Ruth talking about her contributions to the profession and international things. And then, of course, we had a chance to speak with folks from Germany and the Netherlands and the UK and Canada and Ireland, which was, I thought, really cool just to get a sense of what's happening outside of the U.S. with our profession. And then we ended with Ruth Ballwig with Meredith Davison talking about their connection. So isn't that crazy?
Yeah. And everything just kind of tends to go full circle. But I think that's reflective of the PA environment and of the PA profession. I think over time, it has proven to be an incredible networking opportunity for people that are involved, particularly I think on the education side. It's a small community. And I think that, you have this unbelievable opportunity. And I think PAEA and PAEA meetings have been a great opportunity for this community to really connect and collaborate. And I'm always moved by the level of collegiality that we see among PA educators.
Yeah, I agree. Well, so we have an interesting opportunity to take a break over the summer, which is nice. We started this just under a year ago and have kicked in 41 episodes. So I think that's been pretty good.
Yeah, and kudos to you. I always have to kind of throw some credit your direction because I people need to understand that you are doing the heavy lift on this. I am happy to be along for the ride and help out where I can, but you're really the backbone of the show. So thanks for all the work that you've done on this.
Well, I appreciate everything you do. To me, it's a team effort, and I'm inspired to do this because of the conversations we have had. So really, you're just as valuable, and I don't think we'd be moving as well as we would without your contributions and your insights, which I think are really important.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So now that we get past the Mutual Admiration Society, next season,
I got to put my shoulder back in socket. I was patting myself on the back a little too hard there.
And as an orthoped, I know you know how to do that. So
I do indeed.
Good luck. So we have a lot of PA programs to go. I mean, I don't know that we can keep up with accreditation and the number of PA programs that keep getting released. So we're going to do our best to reach out to programs that have not had a chance to be on the podcast so our listeners can learn more about them. I know we have spoken with Case Western coming up in the Morehouse School of Medicine's PA school and others. And so if you are waiting your turn, trust us, we are working on it, but we certainly would love to hear from you if you've not had a chance to get on the podcast and you want to share something.
Yeah, absolutely. We really want to be as inclusive as possible and try to showcase the programs that are available to students because, that was really one of the major impetus of starting this podcast was really to help pre-PA students learn more about the profession, explore the profession a little more deeply, and understand it at a little bit higher level to kind of set themselves apart as an applicant. But then also to have the opportunity to kind of peek behind the curtain for programs and really learn from the people who are working in those programs what it means to be at that program, and kind of try to get a sense of the culture and the curriculum and the ins and outs of each of those programs. So it's certainly a great opportunity for pre-PAs to be able to investigate programs that they may be interested in, or even discover ones that maybe they didn't know they were interested in. But once they hear episodes of the podcast, they really feel like, hey, that's someplace that I hadn't considered before, but I really identified with that director or that department chair or that faculty member and what they had to say. And that's someplace I now want to investigate.
Absolutely. And the other thing is, I know you feel this way. I would love to hear from pre-PAs if there's something that they feel like is lacking in terms of the information they're trying to obtain about the profession. It might be that they want to know how to pay for all this. And maybe we need to look for some folks that can help them navigate that part. I know that we still have partners at the Academy and at the ARCPA that we have not had on yet that I know we want to bring on. So hopefully this coming season, we'll be able to highlight some of the great work that they're doing. And there's so many other PAs doing amazing things that we need to reach out to. So we're going to take a little bit of a break and start interviewing folks in July for a release in September. And we'll go from there. Anything else, Steph, that you want to share, or thoughts that you want to bring up?
No, I think as I think back, as I reflect on the season, one of the things that struck me as we spoke with all of the folks that are involved in developing the profession on the internet on an international basis was, it was really just interesting to listen to kind of the nuanced differences between the different ways that the profession is developing in different areas. Obviously, it can't be a drag and drop. It can't be an exact carbon copy of the way PAs function and exist in the US. That would be a little silly to assume that you can walk into a different country and a completely different health system and a different culture and environment, different populations, and have it look exactly the same. And so that was, I think, an interesting part for me with the international guests to really kind of explore how this profession or this profession's likeness has really evolved and come to fruition in each of the different countries, given their different demographics and health system and populations, et cetera.
Yeah, and I want to call this out. You had mentioned this earlier offline, which was the humility of the USPAs in talking about these other programs outside of the United States, and that cultural humility of saying, look, there are things that are being done in these other countries that we could learn a lot from. Even though the profession started here, it doesn't mean we have the best model necessarily. So I appreciate their cognizance of that as we've had a chance to learn more about the unique models that you described.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that we do stand to learn a lot from one another, and I think best practices. It's one of the ways that our profession has developed here, is sharing between health systems and between PA programs, really best practices. And I think if we can continue to keep an open mind and be willing to share as other countries develop a PA-like profession in their countries, I think that openness and willingness to share models and best practices can really only be mutually beneficial.
Absolutely. The other thing is, I think that over the course of the last year and talking to everybody we've spoken to, it just brings me great joy that our profession is so strong in terms of the leadership. And, everybody we spoke to has had their eye on the big picture and the importance of what we do, and also the opportunity for us to continue to collaborate with our health professional colleagues to provide patient-centered care across the world.
Yeah, that's been a common question that we like to pose to people is, what do you see the future looking like? Where is this profession heading? What are our opportunities? What are some of our challenges? And you don't ever really speak with someone in leadership in the PA profession that says, I've never really thought about that. I mean, it's not the way that it seems like PAs and PA educators are wired. I think we are really doing a great job of trying to see around the corner and trying to prepare for the future and really trying to influence what the future of our profession looks like. So, I am struck by how forward thinking our profession and the individuals who lead it are.
So as you look forward to the next season, what's the one thing you're looking forward to the most?
Oh gosh. I think we have gone through. I think just naturally we have started with a lot of the PA programs that are most known to us because that's where we have a lot of our connections, and so it was kind of logical for you and I to start with interviewing some people that we know and we have existing relationships with. But I think there are a lot of PA programs out there that are doing great things. And, whether they're new programs or existing programs that are changing things up and having new ideas, there are just a lot of programs that I haven't had the opportunity to really explore that thoroughly. So I'm looking forward to making new connections and meeting new directors and department chairs and faculty members and learning about some programs that I just don't currently know a lot about.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think that the reality is we were taking a risk because this was a new kind of thing for us, and we weren't sure if it was going to totally flop. And so it's always great to flop with friends. And now that we have over 10,000 episodes that have been downloaded, maybe we're onto something, and it'd be good to highlight others. Yeah. So for those of you listening, you educators, please reach out to us and let us know about your program, and we'll get you on the list.
Yeah, Kevin and I he just kind of grabbed me by the wrist and we just took a run and just dived into the pool. We just did a big cannonball into this whole podcast thing. So, I think largely the waves have been good. So I guess we'll see as we go forward.
We haven't drowned yet. So
no, we have not.
Well, Steph, thanks so much for all your help. Appreciate you and look forward to seeing you at the end of the summer.
All right. We'll see you next season.
Yeah. And for our listeners, thank you so much for listening to us. We've had a really good time sharing the profession with you. And we want to thank all of our guests who have taken time out of their busy schedules to share their insights on the profession, their programs, and the great work that they're doing in our community. We'll see you next time.
Until next time, we wish you success with whatever path you are walking in life, and thank you for joining us. The purpose of this podcast is to provide news and information on the PA profession and is for informational purposes only. The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the speakers and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official position or policies of the University of Arizona.